Yo, 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 what's good, what's good, what's good? You are not watching Juke Boy Sports Show. I am your host, King Raphael. Let's just, yeah. All right. We're good, we're good. I am your host, King Ralph, here with another solo dolo show. Hope everybody's doing good out there in TV land. Got a lot of good stuff going on, but before we get started, like we always do, if you're looking for a clean, genderless, no crash energy drink, use promo code JUKJUKE for 20% off on W.com, DUBBY, W.com. Let's get some water. Damn, my lips been dry over the last couple of days. Bruh, nigga, get some Vaseline, you know what I mean? But, hey, we're cool. Use promo code JUKE, 20% off on W.com. We're going to get you right. And wherever you're here from, keep continuing to keep supporting. My focus right now has really been on the YouTube channel. So JUK Network, subscribe at JUK Network. We're a little short of 100 subscribers going into the year, but at this point, I think we're about 122 subscribers. So keep supporting the show. Support. You can follow me on Twitch as well. You can follow the page at Juke Network on Facebook. Follow Juke Network on Facebook, JUK Network, and you can follow me at KYNGRALPH. On TikTok, Twitch, Instagram, Threads, add an underscore for X or Twitter. And we got a good show ahead of us. World Baseball Classic. You see me with my athletics hat on. I got a chance to go to the game the other day. They played a exhibition game here against the Angels, and they were able to get a victory. But I got this cool ass hat at the same time too. I'm fucking with it. So you're gonna end up seeing me with a whole lot of athletics merch now that they are getting prepared to move to Las Vegas. But the World Baseball Classic is here. Um, Different pool groups, but Puerto Rico is 3-0. USA is 3-0 with Italy at 2-0. Japan is 4-0, and then Venezuela and Dominican Republic are both 3-0, leading their groups. USA is the favorite to win. Every player is essentially either an all-star, a gold glover, a silver slugger of some sort. Where Japan is led by Shohei Ohtani, and we've seen what happened the last go around. Dominican Republic and Puerto Rico, they're just always going to have high level players, and so starting out, got a good group. It's been some competitive stuff. Dominican Republic beat the brakes off of Israel, and we know about the whole Israel Palestine thing, so people were celebrating that. And yeah, this is the point where people are fighting and playing for their countries, teammates, and I'll talk about that later. Teammates who play in the majors are playing for different teams, and they beefing, and it's up from here. So we'll see what happens and what's happening going forward. At the end of the day, I think that USA should win, but when you have the best player on any team, you put yourself in a position to win. And when he is the best hitter on the field and can be the best pitcher, if they line it up right, be the best pitcher in a championship bout or championship match. We'll see what happens. But going for the home team at the end of the day, USA all the way. And Raiders going into this, man, it was a great day. This is what it's like to be a Raiders fan. If you don't know, Max Crosby. Let's see if there's an official reason as to why. But it's looking like Max Crosby failed a physical, and that's why the Ravens backed out of the trade. But long story short, the Baltimore Ravens have officially backed out of a trade for Max Crosby, mainly because of medical issues discovered during their physical. Now, this is the part here where we're like, all right, so we knew It was a very public thing. Raiders sat Max Crosby toward the end of the season when he didn't want to be sat. They said you need to go ahead, rest up your knee. He ends up having surgery back in January for a meniscus, and Baltimore didn't feel comfortable giving up 2 first rounds after their medical examination at the end of the day. And so, as great of a first day that we had, some of those picks we're probably going to have to pick and choose who we take and who we keep on the team, or who we're just going to be like, you know what? It just depends on if we keep those players on the team. Going into it, though, Quay Walker, Nakobe Dean, Jalen Naylor, Teron Johnson, we get from a trade from the Buffalo Bills. We re-signed Eric Stokes. You get Tyler Linderbaum from the Ravens, which really, I think a lot of it has to do with you already knew what you were getting in the trade for a Max Crosby when it comes to his knee injury. So then you give up the 2 firsts anyway. And then now I think the Raiders had a great day one, and the Ravens lost a lot of players. So giving up 2 firsts for a player coming off of a meniscus and then losing Tyler Linderbaum, I think has a lot more to do with why we're at where we're at. Saving those draft capital, and you could possibly go after a Trey Hendrickson rather than having to give up 2 firsts for a player coming off of a knee injury. I don't blame them for it. Am I a little salty? Because the thing now is like, what do we do with Max at this point? Do we try to work it out where we keep him? Because he gave a heartfelt speech on his pod, pretty much saying that in the end he wants to retire a Raider. So do we try to make it work and keep him on the team? Do we back out of deals with certain players, or do we try to rework contract situations? And so now, given the amount of money that they spent yesterday, I think they spent upwards of like 270. Yeah, they were looking. I think they spent about 270 in total. Where if you take Tyler Linderbaum, that's 3 years, 81. Looking at about 27 mil there. You got Quay, Nakobe, Jalen. They were all around 10 to 12. We went into it we had about 80,000 in cap space. So trading Max put us upward over 100 million. So I think it's a possible thing to where we could be able to keep him on the roster given what we do here. But the one thing now is that I don't want us to just give him up for whatever the fuck because it didn't work out with the 2 firsts. I think that should still be the price tag regardless of where it's at. But you should know going into it, he is a player coming off of a meniscus surgery. And so I don't want to take it away. Raiders had a hell of a day. I think that I finally have some kind of like legit hope, not just delusional hope like a Raider fan normally would. And the amount of players, the holes that they got, you keep a Tyler Linderbaum off rip. You move JPJ to a guard position. Then you can go into the draft and see what you can do. Now, if you end up trading Max, now you can look and see like, all right, what offensive line, what wide receivers are available? Because I think we still need a wide receiver one. You bring back Eric Stokes, and you get Kwity Paye, you get Nakobe Dean, Quay Walker, Malcolm Kuntz, and then the defense is now converting from a 4-3 to a 3-4. So Max fits that. He can play edge. He can play 3-4 edge rusher. put him on the other side of Kwity Paye, and now you look like you have a really great defense. Now the salary cap and all that gets a little tight in these situations, but I don't see why you would just rush and just trade him given where we are, but we'll see what happens. And so, like I always say, around this time of the year is one of my favorite times of the year. So, running backs in this draft class, my honorable mention, Mekhi Hughes, 5'11", 210, big body, stocky running back from Oregon. I got him about a fourth, fifth round, to be honest with you. I think he fits a zone fit between the tackles, good instincts, can catch passes out of the backfield, but not really like a route runner. He's just more of a safety blanket type of running back. Lacks that wiggle to be able to make people miss and is not a really good pass blocker and not the best in pass protection. Honestly, outside of Jeremiah Love, that's the only one that I saw that they were an asset in pass protection. All the other ones were definitely going to need to work on their technique given the systems that they come from. So Mekhi Hughes, my honorable mention out of Oregon. And then at 5, probably would end up being higher, but he is coming off of 2 seasons with injuries. I think he tore his knee up 2 years ago. And then last year, trying to compensate for that, had a foot injury and missed many games. But 5'11", 203 pounds, good size, and kind of reminds, in some aspects, has a lot of that Le'Veon Bell, to use his name, in him, where there's that patience, waiting for the blocks to form and then hitting that hole hard. Good balance, great burst, but lacks that top end speed to where he can definitely take a 20-yard, 30-yard to the house. But when it comes to those 50, 60, 70-yard runs, he just doesn't have that top speed to where he can just straight up outrun people. But he has good vision, patient runner, good burst, balance. Numbers don't really show how good of a pass catcher he is. He only had 24 catches in 32 games played. But like I said, he is coming off of a knee injury 2 years ago, a foot injury last year. So he would probably end up being higher if I didn't have if he didn't have those things for me. Watching the film, he probably is one of my favorites outside of Jeremiah Love, who is just a complete back. At 4, I got Kaytron Allen. Probably would have him a little higher. I think some of the measurables and then game tape puts him in a position where he is just a bona fide back. But the one thing that I can say is, like, some of these other guys, as a running back, being able to get that first hit and get those yards after contact, I guess you could say yak. Once he gets hit, he pretty much goes down. He might get a yard or two, but he's not breaking tackles through those hits. Now, he is a much better pass catcher than some of the guys that I've mentioned already. But for me, out of Penn State, doing what he did, I think he's going to be a good back. Like, outside of Jeremiah Love, I doubt we see a running back in the second round. I do think some of these guys could end up going in the third round, if not day 3, in rounds 4 and 5. But I think that where we are right now, Kaytron Allen, out of Penn State, good size, not the biggest back, but not the smallest. Good speed. Is a better pass catcher than some of the guys that I mentioned, but just doesn't have that ability to break tackles and get 30, 40 yards down the field. Typically, if he's hit, he's going down within 1 or 2 yards. And I talked about him last week on my Combine Warriors, my Workout Warriors, Mike Washington Jr., big back, Came in at 6'2", 223. Ran a 4.33 at the combine, fastest running back in the combine. Had the third most breakaway rate, so he's able to use that speed in on the field. Good hands out of the backfield. As big as he is, he's not as physical as you would think he was, but he's not afraid of contact. It's just more of like being able to like watching Jeremiah, them stiff arms with the size that he has, you can see that he uses his size to his advantage. And not as physical at that size at 6'2", 220, 228 is what he was measured at going into the combine. But great speed. I think he could end up based off of his combine. I could see him going into the third round. He could be someone giving that size and speed that could work his way into the second round. Me personally, I would take that chance on him. But he lost 3 fumbles last year, so that's a little bit worrisome. But we'll see. And I tried so hard to not be the person and go with Notre Dame. But watching the film, Jadarian Price, a little bit smaller than Jeremiah Love, but was the backup to Jeremiah Love at Notre Dame. Ran a 4.49, great vision, but with his size, he is a physical runner. What Cam Newton say? Physical runner at the point of attack, between the tackles, great burst, acceleration through the hole, had great feet for how physical he is. But 2 things. A couple years ago, he had a ruptured Achilles, which is something that once it happens once, it is something that you kind of got to pay some attention to. It does take away some of your athleticism and some of your burst, and lacks that top end speed, where some of the players that I've mentioned, I would rather have like a Mike Washington, because he can take, with space, he can take a 70-yard touchdown to the house. Where Jadarian Price, I think he has that same thing with Le'Veon Moss, where he can take a 20-yard, 30-yard to the crib, but doesn't have that top end speed to be able to make plays like you would with a top pick. I think he's a great back, a better pass blocker than the guys that I mentioned, which is why I got him at 2. But yeah, at the end of the day, I just don't see it being one of them things where he just doesn't have that top end speed to be a big play running back. But I think he could be a solid running back if you pair him with someone like a change of pace back. And then last but not least, Jeremiah Love. What more can I say about the guy? When you watch his film, it's one of the things. He just has that it factor. The way he hits the hole, 6 foot, 212, ran a 4.36, was second behind Mike Washington. So some of the bigger guys are still having some of the most speed, has great top end speed, complete back, the most complete back by far. Going into this, thank God, and I'll talk about this in on the next segment, but thank God Kenneth Walker went to the Chiefs, because I just did not want them to get Jeremiah Love. Pass catcher, physical. One thing, though, when you watch a lot of his highlights, he does a lot of jumping over people. He gets airborne a little bit too much for my liking. But still physical, hell of a stiff arm. Just go look up his highlight tape. Can be a little indecisive when hitting the hole, but great feet. When he trusts his instincts, the guy's off the charts. I expect him to go top 10. I don't see him sliding anything further past 12. if he does get past the top 10, I would assume someone is going to trade up for him. But after that, it is a drop off at that running back position where Jadarian Price, Mike Washington, and some of the guys that I've mentioned and that I haven't mentioned, the highest I see someone going right now is maybe the 60s after Jeremiah Love goes in the top 15. But this class is not as good as last year's, but I'm enjoying this. Like I said, this is one of my favorite times of the year, being able to watch the tape. There are some steals on there, and we'll see what happens. Yerp, I appreciate you for pulling up, doggy. I appreciate you. And where we at? Bow, bow, bow. All right. Free agency. I mentioned it before. I brought up the Raiders. But free agency, there were some good ones. Kenneth Walker, like I mentioned, signs a 1-year deal with the Chiefs. And I think that this is a great pick. But as a person that's a fan of a team that you're going to play against them a couple times a year, I'm not really like, yo, hey, y'all pulling up. I appreciate y'all. Kenneth Walker, Super Bowl MVP. I'm not necessarily like too afraid because there's a reason why he split carries with Charbonnet. Now, I think he has the ability to be a bell cow back with how physical he runs, the way he hits the hole, finishing runs, can have a big run, 50-yard, 60-yard touchdowns, but lacks the ability to pass catch in a way where you're going to have to take him off the field to some degree. And so as a person that watches, I'm a Raider fan, like I said. I'm not 100% afraid of this pick, but I do think that this is an upgrade at a position that has lacked for some time with the Chiefs. And so that one is a good one. Raiders, like I mentioned, got Tyler Lindenbaum. Solidifies you. I think he's about 25 years old. Put him in the middle. You draft Mendoza. Move JPJ to a guard position. You got Colton Miller, who's a left tackle. Now you just got to find another guard to play on the other side of Lindenbaum, and then you get you a right tackle, and then you're good. You're good to go. We should be able to move the ball down the field a little better. Ashton Jeanty has showed that he can break that first tackle and get to the next one, where he shouldn't be getting hit in the backfield as much. And Jalen Phillips gone to the the Raiders signed Lindenbaum for 3 years, $81 million, looking at $27 a year. I do believe Kenneth Walker signed 1 year, $15, but I could be mixing him up with someone else. Let's see what we got. Oh, actually, it's a 3 year, $43 million. My bad. 28.7 guaranteed. And so we're going to have to deal with that for a couple of years. But like I said, he's not the most complete back, so it's not the scariest thing in the world. But he is a really good running back that you got to worry about it. Jalen Phillips goes to the Panthers, gets a 30 a year with 120 for 4 years, leaving the Eagles. I think this is a really good pickup. You put him on the line with Derek Brown. You got a J.C. Horn, good young defense that's only getting better. And then you put him on the edge. Now, he hasn't quite shown the ability to get double-digit sacks and a high-level sack numbers, but he's definitely a disruptor and affects winning football on the defensive side of the ball. So I think that's a great pickup for them. Mike Evans to the 49ers. This is one of them ones that can go so many ways. Um, do you are you getting the guy that went on a stretch of 1,000-yard seasons, or are you getting a guy that's on the back end of his career? He is 33 years old. No Ayuk, Parasol. Um, I think this does give Parasol the ability to move to the slot. Now, if you could try to bring back a Jawan Jennings and see what you can do there, or at least get someone on the other side, I think this would pay do dividends for the 49ers. But this is a little different than like a Devontae Adams going to the Rams because there's a Puka Nacua on the other side that's going to take a lot of that attention away from you. Where Mike Evans on day one is going to be the number one receiver and end all be all from a receiver standpoint on that team. And so I think all of these will end up being good signings. I would be surprised if any of these were not. Same thing I would say for the Raiders. A lot of their picks, I think that you just got to, now at this point, you've made the signings. What do you do with these players and how do you use them to where you can get the most juice from that orange? And that's where I think we're at. And so the next topic changes a little bit with Lamar not having any excuses now that Max Crosby is going back to the Raiders and those picks are coming back to the Ravens. But if we're gonna have this conversation, we got to start being real, yo. Hard truth. Y'all let Josh Allen get away with a lot. And the standpoint that I just can't rock with, uh-oh, laptop finna die. The laptop finna die. Hold up, yeah. All right, that should help a little bit. Uh-oh. Don't you do me like that. Don't do me like that. Please come back. I don't know if you can hear me. Are we there? We're there. We're back. All right, you was able to hear me? Oh, okay, for sure, for sure. I think it was just more of like my camera went out. But thanks for sticking with your boy. But yeah, we're gonna have this conversation about Lamar Jackson and how he ain't got no excuses going forward. Then Josh Allen, you gotta keep it the same. You gotta keep it straight across the board. You get DJ Moore. You have James Cook. You got Dalton Kincaid. You got Dawson Knox, who you brought back. We got to stop acting like Josh Allen ain't got no help out there. I know that we lost Stephon Diggs, Gabe Davis. Even when he came back, he wasn't the same. And that Khalil Shakur should not be your wide receiver one. Mac Hollins should not be your wide receiver one or wide receiver two. But if we're going to have this conversation, we got to keep it straight across the board. If Lamar ain't got no excuses, Josh Allen ain't got no excuses either, because this was supposed to be the year with Mahomes goes down, he get hurt. You got ample opportunity to get you a Super Bowl, get to a Super Bowl, Josh. And what did you do when it mattered most? You went out there, you stunk it up, and you played like complete garbage. Then you was at the press conference crying. Save the tears. I like the accountability, but the way that y'all treat Josh Allen versus how we treat Lamar Jackson, shit's crazy, and the shit got to stop. Keep it a buck. Next up, fast break. So Randy, I brought it up early. Randy, I hope I say this right. Arozarena, plays for the Seattle Mariners. Kyle Raleigh plays for the Seattle Mariners. Randy is a part of the Mexico national team, even though he is Cuban. And Kyle Raleigh is a part of the USA team. Randy goes to the plate. Cal is a catcher, and Randy tries to give him a handshake. Cal like, good to see you, but we ain't teammates, my boy. And so Randy felt the way he went on this long thing. Now, if he's being serious and these are not jokes, you need to realize we might be teammates in that league, but we're not in that league. We are not friends. We are ops right now. If you learned anything from Kobe, Pau Gasol was a good friend of his and was a Laker. When they played USA versus Spain, he ran through his fucking chest. We are not teammates. You are an op. So why don't feel away? Because when we leave here, we good. You can still hug my moms and my family. We good. We still teammates. We boys. But here, you my op. Don't take it personal. It's just business. It's competition. Jason Tatum is back, balling. Had a good first game back. Then was aggressive. I think he scored like 12 points first quarter in the next game. So barring health, I don't see a team that can beat the Celtics. Cavs, you got to show me. I've already talked about that. James Harden and Donovan Mitchell. You got to show me. I don't care how good you look on paper. Jalen Brunson, great player, but when it comes to now you got a guard for a 7-game series, look a little funny in the light, look a little shaky. Then when we really start going through it, and it's like, Detroit, are they ready? I know Cade is. I trust Cade. I think Cade will go out there and ball. But I think the rest of that team, I think they're just maybe a piece or a year or two away. So, barring health, I just Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, you get Vooch, Peyton Pritchard, and them boys. I think that they're the favorite to come out the East. I know I went on this tangent a couple weeks ago talking about how I don't like the foul merchant that SGA is, but we cannot sit here and act like he's not that guy. Now you can dislike the way that he goes about the game, and me personally, I prefer Ant-Man, Anthony Edwards. He gonna go out there talking shit. He gonna go to the rim. He not trying to foul bait or grab your arm. You push his arm off. Now he throwing his head back and doing all this extra shit. Look like a 2-year-old throwing a tantrum. The shit gets on my nerves, bro. I absolutely hate it. But we cannot act like SGA is not that guy. When he's on the court, the Thunder are a completely different team. They're always going to be in games. He's going to get them an opportunity to be able to repeat. Me personally, I'm not so confident about a repeat. But they have as good a chance as anybody when you got someone that can go out there and lock up the way that they play defense, the way that he plays defense as the leader of the team, and then being a 3, 4, 5 level scorer, being able to get to the rim, hit the 3 mid-range, and get into the rim. At the end of the day, SGA is a top 3 player in our league, and you might not like the way he goes about his game or how his game looks, but he's that guy. That sidestep 3-pointer with the put the magazine, cock, boom, game over. I'm fucking with it. And so, last but not least, Dak Prescott was in the news. Him and his old lady split. Now, the rumors were the prenup. She came out and said, no, it wasn't because of the prenup. It was some other things that went into it. So more to the story. Don't believe everything you see on the internet. As a person that is in some group chats with some older people, especially if you see that shit on Facebook, check another source. Please check another source. Because I'm tired of having to tell my OGs, my pops, and my old heads that, like, hey, that ain't real, gang. Like, just think about it. Does that even really make sense? Don't believe everything you hear on the internet. But thank you all for watching. I got up to 7 viewers today. tonight. I appreciate you. Camera went out a little bit. Laptop almost died. Max Crosby is a Raider again, which like I'm happy, but like for how long though? You know what I mean? But I'm about to go get me some tacos. I'm gonna fuck with y'all. Make sure you like, subscribe, comment, share wherever you're here from. Appreciate y'all for getting on here on Twitch. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe on Juke Network on YouTube. Trying to get to 125, and then from there we're gonna get to 150, and then just keep it going, man. We have 122. Follow Juke Network on Facebook as well, and you can follow me at KYNG RALPH on TikTok, Twitch, Threads, Instagram. Add an underscore for X or Twitter. Going forward, you will be able to get as far as 2 goobs, as well as the Juke Boy Sports Show. You will be able to get an audio-only version on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, as well as YouTube. Thank you all for watching. I do got to get up out of here. Love, peace, and chicken grease.